today we're going to be doing the fish and chips, the healthy fish and chips from the Beyond Limit blueprint. I've got my notes here and stuff I've printed off. So yeah, it's healthy fish and chips. We cover it in almond and oat flakes, and then nice red potatoes for chips, peas, and a little bit of lemon. So first thing we're going to put a bit of coconut oil in the tray to roast the potatoes, put that in the oven to get it nice and hot. I've been using this coconut oil pretty much for everything recently that I've been doing on this blueprint. This stuff's amazing, and it gets just as hot as vegetable oil, so it doesn't burn before it starts actually cooking. So lovely bit of oil that is. Back now. Get up. With the fish you get from Tesco's or Asda's, wherever, vac packed or fresh, it's always best you wash it first. You should always rinse the fish off, just give it a nice little wash. You want to be careful with it because you don't want to break the fish up there. So just give it a nice little wash. That's it. And then make sure you dry it off really well. Blue paper towel, J-cloth, tea towel. Make sure it's nice and dry. I like to use the red potatoes. I think the skins are nice and they roast up really nice and golden. So I like to cut them nice and chunky. So with these, potato this size, I just actually cut it into three, cut it into nice big chunks. Like that, make sure you've got enough. Now some of the potatoes are quite large. I think this was 275 grams. About 300, just a little bit of extra, but the chips are nice anyway, so a few extra for anyone. Make sure you bring your water up to the simmer, season it really, really well. Don't be shy with the salt, you can always taste the water first. Make sure it's not too salty. And then pop the potatoes in. It's really important when you're doing the potatoes that you don't boil the water. It's the same if you're doing roast potatoes or mash or anything like that. You don't boil the potatoes. If you boil them too quickly, the outsides will be mushy and the insides will still be a little bit raw. So you just want to simmer them just lightly until they're just soft, about 6 to 8 minutes. So 6 to 8 minutes like that. Once the potatoes are nice and soft, you'll come a bit closer, John. Once the potatoes are nice and soft, you can just dip the knife in, but they fall straight off, but they're not breaking them up. That'll be plenty. Take it to the sink, drain them off carefully. Make sure you don't splash yourself. On the side, give it a little shake, get as much of the excess water off as you can, just leave them for a minute or so to drain off. Being very careful obviously because the oil's going to be nice and hot. Chop the potatoes in away from you so you don't splash yourself with the oil. Give it a little shake and a little turn to make sure they're nicely covered in the oil. So I always try and start them off skin side down so the tops get nice and roasted. It's for the fish. So in here we've got 20 grams of almond powder, and then 15 grams of the oat flakes. Mix them together. Got 2 tablespoons of paprika. Depending on how hot you like it, you can put a little bit less in, a little bit more in. And then my little secret ingredient, you can pick this up from, I think it's either Tesco's or Asda's, garlic salt. I love this stuff. I've been using this quite a lot, obviously you want to make sure you're seasoning stuff to make sure you get the best flavour out of it. But it's garlic salt, it's lovely. So a little squeeze of that in there. You don't have to use this, you can just use a little bit of normal salt, but it's really important to season every step as you go along. It's ready to go. Mix up the egg. So you're going to roll the fish in the egg and then into the crumb mix. Once you've got the fish ready, you'll sometimes see along this bit here there'll be a little bit of this sinew stuff. You can take it off if you want. It's not essential that you take it off. If you want to trim some of this bit off the skin at the bottom, you can. Again, it's not the end of the world. It's just it's not the most amazing bit of fish in the world, but take that off. Before you cut any more off as well, you want to weigh it first because you don't want to take off too much. I think this was about a 230 gram piece from Tesco's. That's 250 grams. You need 225. You can just trim a little bit off if you want. If you want to leave it how it is. Over the top, and then back in the oven, and they're going to take 10 to 15 minutes. Get them nice and roasted, and then about 5 minutes before they're finished roasting, chuck the fish in. That'll take 6 to 7 minutes, and dish it all up at the same time. Next thing, I always put mine onto a little sheet of greaseproof. Because when you cook it, it's best, what I do is I'll put the tray in the oven first, get the tray nice and hot. Then when I'm about to put the fish in, take it outside the greaseproof onto the tray, so it'll cook the fish underneath, so it cooks it all nice and round, so you get a nice crispy crust on it and you don't get a bit of raw bit at the bottom. So the first thing I'm going to do, again, lightly season the fish, not too much, just a little sprinkle over the top and the bottom. Into the egg. And then into the oat and almonds. Give it a little shake so you get a nice even covering on the bottom. Flip it over, give it another little shake again, make sure you get it all nice and even coated. And then if you want to be really good, dip it back into the egg. Carefully not to knock all the crumb off of it. And then back into the oats again so you get a nice thick crumb all the way around the fish. That way so you can see. Greaseproof ready. Lay your fish on there nicely. If you've got any little bit of patches that you've not covered, sprinkle it over the top. Get it all over there. Don't be shy with it. And that's your fish ready to go. So pea puree, just normal frozen peas, petite pies, whatever you want. You know, gonna make some mushy peas. I don't like tinned peas, I don't like marrowfat peas. I much prefer this sort of mushy peas. So just going to cook them 3 or 4 minutes in boiling water. Going to drain them off, put them into a fruit processor, blitz them up a little bit, little pinch of salt, little squeeze of lemon juice. If you want to put a little bit, little splash of white wine vinegar in there, just to make them a little bit sharper, you can. Yeah. Put them in there, bring them up to the boil. Again, depending on what type of potatoes you've got, depends on how much they are going to roast up again. Even with the reds, this time of year potatoes are seasonal, so depending on what type you get, they might not roast up amazing. But as long as they're nice and crispy, they'll be fine, nice and fluffy inside because you've already boiled them. So they're probably about 5-10 minutes away now. So we'll pop these back in on the top shelf, tray in the oven just for a couple of minutes to get the bottom of it nice and up, and then we'll slide the fish onto that tray. So like I said, it will cook from the bottom all the way around. 6-7 minutes with the fish in the oven, it'll be nice and cooked, ready to go, and then we'll make the pea puree. So with the peas, they've been in 2 or 3 minutes now, just until they're just cooked. Drain them off again, make sure you drain off all the excess water. You haven't got to blitz these up to make mushy peas, you can have them just like that, they're absolutely fine. If you haven't got a food processor or a blender, you could just put them back into the pan, have a hand blender, just have a little go at them with that, mix them up with a fork, that'll be fine, just crush them with a fork. So into the blender, little squeeze of lemon juice, obviously make sure there's no pips in the lemon, you don't want a pip in your peas. Little squeeze of salt. There we go, in there like that. Whiz. That's it, job done. Like I say, if you want to put a little splash of vinegar in there just to give it a little bit of a sharpness, you can. It's absolutely fine. And then back into the saucepan, just keep them up, ready to dish up. So give them a little taste. If they need a little bit more salt, just put a little bit of pinch more salt in now. Fine, perfect. Again, I'm going to put a little squeeze more lemon juice in there. It's all down to your personal taste. I like my stuff quite seasoned well. So, yeah, that's it, ready to go. Put the tray in cold, that's absolutely fine, but this will make sure the underside of the fish cooks evenly and you get a nice crispy coating underneath as well. So that'll be 6 to 7 minutes, same as then, and then we'll dish up. All good. Cool. Yeah, so as you can see, chips, nicely roasted, fish, so you don't want to break it up too much. Can you see there, Sean? Yeah? Just get the knife in there, make sure, you know, you can see that's all flaking apart, it's nicely cooked. You want to go into the middle. Slide the knife right in if you want to check right in the middle, and just touch the end of the knife if it's nice and hot. There we go, and that's ready to plate up. Ready to go. There you go. Put the fish there. With the pea puree as well, you want to try and do this as close to dishing up as well when you blitz it, because obviously you're going to put a bit of lemon in it, it will start to make the peas go brown because the acid in the lemon. Bit of lemon on there like that, bosh. Job done. There we go, guys. Healthy fish and chips.
Oh, that's epic. I don't generally like mushy peas. Trying to cook mushy peas. I don't really like mushy peas.
That's the thing, a lot of times with mushy peas, it is like the old marrowfat peas, and they're just...
Yeah.
They're nice and fluffy on the inside, yeah? Nice.
That was a bang. Do you know what? I don't eat fish, ever.
Really?
Mrs. hates the fact that I don't eat fish, but this is good fish. Oh mate, that's an 11 out of 10 now.
Thanks, Sean.
That's good, so yeah. So make sure, oh that was epic. So what we're looking for in our judging is presentation, plus taste, and whether we like it or not. So free food for all the coaches.
That's it. Cool, so next week guys, we're going to go down the veggie route. So we're going to do something that is a nice vegetarian dish, but if you're vegan, you can make some changes during it to make it a vegan dish. So we're going to do cauliflower steak with cauliflower puree, roasted cauliflower and pickled leaves. So you're going to be using the whole cauliflower. So there's no waste, you know, you're going to use every part of the cauliflower.